Next talk is by Stanislav Speranski, and today he speaks on weak monadic second order definability in some weak arithmetical structure.
Well, this talk is devoted to monadic second order definability in some fundamentally important arithmetical structures which are weak from the perspective of first order logic, but as we shall see later, turn out to be reached from the perspective of weak monadic second order logic. I start by recalling what monadic second order logic is about. In monadic second order arithmetic, either weak or ordinary, we have two sorts of variables, namely individual variables denoted by small Latin letters and set variables denoted by capital letters. Importantly, we distinguish between individual and set quantifiers. Those of the first sort are intended to range over all elements of a given domain, while those of the second over certain subsets of that domain. Not necessarily all, maybe only over all subsets of a particular sort. The usual logical connectives are denoted by these three symbols. So we have classical conjunction, disjunction, and negation, and then using these we can of course define the material conditional. Now let sigma be a signature, small sigma, that is a collection of constant function and predicate symbols, each of which has been assigned an array. An atomic monadic second order sigma formula, I shall omit monadic second order in what follows, is simply a first order atomic sigma formula or an expression of the form t belongs to x with t as sigma term, obviously all sigma terms are first order, and x is set variable. The intended interpretation is of course that the denotation of t in a given structure belongs to the denotation of x. Then sigma formulas, again monadic second order sigma formulas, are built up from atomic sigma formulas using connective symbols and two sorts of quantifiers in the customary way. A sigma formula is, well, just capital sigma sub 1 sub n, I'll simply say sigma 1n. Is sigma 1n if and only if it has this form. So it has a prefix consisting of exactly n set quantifiers with n minus 1 alternations, starting with exists, and followed by a formula containing no set quantifiers. Similarly, we can define sigma 0 and formulas. To do this, replace set quantifiers by individual quantifiers. So instead of capital X1, capital X2, you will have small x1, small x2. And containing no set quantifiers by containing no quantifiers at all. Obviously, these will be first order. Then a set of natural numbers A is also sigma 0 n if and only if it is definable in the standard model of piano arithmetic by a sigma 0 n formula with exactly one for the individual variable. Well, and similarly for sigma 1 n, assuming that for the standard model, set quantifies range over all sets of natural numbers, so over the power set of n. Now, a set of natural numbers is called, I'll say, sigma 0 n complete if and only if it is sigma 0 n and any sigma 0 n set is many one reducible to it. Recall that A is many one reducible to B, or M reducible to B, written like that, if and only if A is the preimage of B under some computable function, which means that there exists a computable function f from natural numbers to natural numbers, such that for any natural number k, k belongs to A if and only if f of k belongs to B. So think of f as a computable input transformation, and you apply it, and then you ask B, and the answers are the same. Well, and similarly for sigma 1 and all this readily generalizes to sets of L tuples of natural numbers. So instead of n, you can say n to the degree n, where L is positive. Now, given a two-sorted sigma structure, we have two sorts of quantifiers, so let's consider two sorts of sigma structures. With domains D and S, where S is a collection of subsets of D, we assume that individual and set quantifiers range over D and S respectively. In what follows, we shall be concerned with arithmetical structures, which means that D will always be equal to the set of natural numbers. Further, in weak monadic second-order arithmetic, we take S, the second domain, to be the collection of all finite subsets of n, while in strong or ordinary monadic second-order arithmetic, S is taken to be the power set of n. We shall limit ourselves to structures with domains the set of natural numbers and the collection of all finite subsets of n. And for each such structure, we introduce the following two properties. The space property says that for any positive integer n, if a set of natural numbers is sigma 0 n and closed under automorphisms of that structure, then it is sigma 1 n definable in A. Of course, you cannot replace sigma 1 n by sigma 0 n for any relatively weak structure whose first order theory is decidable. This will simply not work. Also, the condition that the set under consideration must be closed under automorphisms of A is certainly necessary, because otherwise the set is not definable in A even by formulas of the 2017 order. The second property says that for any positive integer, the set of all sigma 1 n sentences true in A is sigma 0 n complete. Well, the space property implies the Hart's property in many reasonable situations, so I shall concentrate on the former.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Is it a definition or a theorem?
No, that's just a definition. So depending on which structure you consider, this property will hold or will not hold. For instance, it will not be true, say, for the natural numbers with a successor relation, right? Because everything is decidable, so no computably enumerable but not computable set is definable there. But it will be true, say, for the standard model of Presburg arithmetic and certain other structures we shall consider. But that's just a definition.
Still, I'm somewhat confused, because what does it
The
define?
second sentence.
What does it, was it defined?
No, it's the definition of space and... Yeah, it's the definition of space and parts.
Yeah. Of what?
Space and parts.
With index to the doesn't. Okay. Okay.
So we say that A has the space property, and A has...
I thought you were just using fancy bullets in your presentation.
They're really important.
Okay, good.
Again, n can be replaced by n to the degree l, but I avoided that just to simplify the exposition. We shall be concerned with the four structures of the above sort. So in these structures, Gothic P, S, D, and C, we assume that set quantifiers range over all finite subsets of n. P is essentially the standard model of Presburg arithmetic in the weak monadic second-order setting. S is the standard model of Skolem arithmetic, and D and C are two structures which are essentially much weaker than the model of Skolem arithmetic. So here, these two symbols denote respectively the divisibility relation and the coprimeness relation. So This thing holds if and only if x divides y, and this thing holds if and only if x and y have no common prime divisor. Well, you may also be wondering why not to consider some structures which are weaker than the standard model of Presburg arithmetic from the perspective of first order logic. But the most natural choice will probably be the natural numbers with the ordering relation. But the ordering relation is definable in the weak monadic second order arithmetic of the natural numbers with the successor function. And the weak monadic second order theory is easily shown to be decidable using some standard automata theory. This will be like a toy application of the technique Leszek talked about yesterday, but involving only automata and finite words. Okay. So here's one and the only theorem I'm going to present today. Each of the four structures mentioned above has both the space property and the Harris property. Oh, here's one small remark that the proof for D also shows that any structure in which the divisibility relation is first order definable has the space property. Well, it might be worth mentioning that because the space property is not closed upwards, so to say, in general, right? Because the more is definable in your structure, the more automorphisms are there, and the less, and the more sets to be defined. Okay, in proving this theorem, some results on first order definability and expansions of Gothic P and D obtained by Henry Putnam, Alexis Bess, and Dennis Richard turn out to be helpful, as well as the famous McKinsey, Robinson, Davis, Putnam theory, or MRDP theory, for sure. Now, case study. Well, in the remaining time, I'll try to sketch the proof for one particular case. The simplest case is that of Presburg arithmetic, as you might have expected. So let me briefly sketch the proof for P. Since the class of automorphisms of P is trivial, we may forget about the corresponding condition that everything must be closed into automorphisms. And furthermore, it suffices to prove the space property for n equals 1 and arbitrary subsets of n to the degree L, because the rest can be obtained using conjections and complements. Purely for exposition, I take L equals 1, but the argument is the same for L greater than 1. Thus, we need to prove that any computably enumerable set of natural numbers is sigma 1, 1 definable in P. Well, note in passing that the converse is also true, as can be easily verified from the decidability of the first order theory of Presburg arithmetic. So you can say that for any set of natural numbers, it is computably enumerable, if and only if it is sigma 1, 1 definable. Now here's a sketch. Let sigma be the intended signature, that is the signature of Presburg arithmetic. And take sigma star to be the signature obtained from sigma by adding one fresh unary predicate symbol. And sigma sharp, the signature obtained from sigma by adding one fresh ternary predicate symbol. So why ternary? Because we already have addition, we would like to have multiplication. Multiplication is binary operation, so we need a ternary function to define this graph. Evidently, all constants are first order definable in P, as well as the usual ordering on the natural numbers. So I shall use these constants and that ordering without further mention, assuming that they must be expressed by sigma formulas. Now denote by psi sharp of P, here P is not a prime number, it's just a new fresh individual variable. P stands for parameter. The conjunction of the following formulas expressed in the signature sigma sharp. The first formula simply says that t is functional. So it's the graph of some partial function on natural numbers, binary function. The second property says that the domain of that function is exactly the initial segment of the natural numbers consisting of all numbers from 0 to p. The third property says that as long as x is in the domain, x multiplied by 0 equals 0. And the fourth formula says that as long as x and y plus 1 are in the domain of that function, x multiplied by y plus 1 equals x multiplied by y plus x. Now it's quite obvious that for any expansion p sharp of p to the signatures or sharp, so we have p with one additional ternary predicate, and any natural number k, we have this equivalence that psi sharp of k holds in pi sharp if and only if t defines the restriction of, well, not the symbol, but of multiplication to the corresponding initial fragment in the expansion. Well, from right to left, this is obvious because, well, if t defines such a restriction, then of course all of these are satisfied. And from left to right, this is just a little bit more complicated, and an easy induction shows that everything will work out. Now all of this is good, but of course we don't have a ternary predicate. We have only one free unary predicate, and we want to use it somehow to construct a formula which is able to play the role of t. Now, how are we to do that? Well, it is well known since Putnam, that was a simple observation in his paper published in, I guess, Journal of Symbolic Logic somewhere in the 50s, that if you take this sigma star expansion of p, in which that unary predicate symbol u is interpreted as a set of all squares, then in that structure, both addition and multiplication will be definable. Well, and the proof takes something like 3 lines. So it's a very simple proof. And the formula defining multiplication in that structure is very nice. It's essentially a formula with bounded quantifiers. So it's in a sense local, right? And what it means is that if you take a closer look at this formula, then you'll understand that by taking suitable finite portions of the set of whole squares, you can obtain all possible restrictions of the multiplication function to finite domains. And that's what is important. And what it means is that for every k there exists some expansion such that the right hand side will be satisfied. Now, well, hence, forget about hence. Just for any expansion p star of p to sigma star, well, p with an additional unary predicate and then a natural number k, of course we have this. But we have that for any formula. The point is that the right-hand side will actually be satisfied for suitable expansions. And this is indeed the case. What it means is that for every natural number k, there exists a finite subset A of n, such that theta times defines the restriction of multiplication to the corresponding initial fragment in the expansion obtained from P, in which the unary predicate letter is interpreted as A. And as a corollary, the sigma 1, 1 formula, well, this formula defines multiplication in P. Now think of U not as an additional unary predicate, but as a set variable and quantify over it. Now if x multiplied by y equals z, then of course there exists a P such that they are both below P, and for that P we can find A such that in that expansion theta times will define exactly the restriction, the suitable restriction of the multiplication function. So this formula will hold. Now if this is not the case, then even if the first three, I guess, conjuncts are satisfied, then theta times we will define the restriction of multiplication to the corresponding fragment. And since this is not the case, they will agree, of course, and will say that the last formula is false, so the formula will be false. I haven't had enough time to complete the proof, so here I say that the rest of the proof is relatively straightforward. And it should be easy to fill in the details. You will have to use either sigma definability, which involves bounded quantifiers, or the MRDP theory. It's not necessary to use that, but it simplifies things a bit. The point is that here you have an existential formula which defines the computably enumerable set under consideration. And then, roughly speaking, you will need to substitute this formula into that formula, and you will end up with an existential formula. Well, it's not completely true, because you have to take care well, you have to make sure that all products are defined, and your polynomial is, of course, not necessarily quadratic, but it can be done, of course. And then you pull out the only existential set quantifier. Well, here you have to get rid of bounded quantifiers somehow. Well, the proofs for the other three structures are more messy, and some elegance of the original idea is somehow lost, and there are much more details, but it can be done in pretty much the same way. Now here are some references. Well, the first two papers, well, it's where the technique employed has been developed, but they concern like strong monadic second-order arithmetic. In particular, in the second paper, it is proved that any sigma 1n set of natural numbers, if it is closed under automorphisms of this structure, then it is already sigma 1n definable by a monadic formula in this structure. So you don't have this jump. I mean, sigma 1, 1, sigma 1n will be sigma 1n definable. So, well, here you have to do that because, I mean, all first-order theories are decidable for the structures we're interested in. And instead of mentioning those papers by Alexei Bess, Dennis Richard, and many other people, I decided just to mention this survey paper by Ivan Korek, which contains many various results and many references to different results on first-order arithmetic in seemingly weak arithmetical structures. I mean, starting from the famous result by Julia Robinson that if you take the natural numbers with the divisibility relation and the successor function, then both addition and multiplication will be definable there, and ending up with some more recent results by Maureen, Patrick Sigelski, and so on. Thank you very much for your attention.
Have you some question, Kima? Yes?
Yeah, it's a question of clarification, because if I understand the previous case, you have a property space for Presburger array.
Yep.
So you want to show that this. Okay, yeah. That's not yet. I clarified the information. It's very good. But thank you for putting this up.
Okay. Other question or remarks? No. Thanks.